Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Voices of the Vic podcast with myself, Joe Thomas. This is my first time this season presenting, and tonight I am joined by Katie Kirkley. This is your first time on this season as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes,
how
I've been
exciting.
away.
Yeah, bit of a different setup tonight. But yeah, welcome everybody. We're here obviously to talk about Watford's 2-1 victory on Saturday at home to Queen's Park Rangers. That was our first victory of the season following a league defeat on the opening day and then a 2-1 defeat at home to Norwich in the Cup in midweek. It was great to obviously see Watford get a win, especially at home as well, in front of the Vicarage Road faithful. Katie, I will ask first of all, how are you? It was nice to see you on Saturday, albeit brief, and like tonight, I was late, and on Saturday I was also late, so apologies. But how are you doing?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Been a bit of a busy summer with finishing uni and everything going on, so I wasn't able, and also I was on holiday, so I wasn't able to watch much of the pre-season because of work and being away, and then even the first two games I was sort of watching on holiday. So it was really nice to be back and kind of be in and watching first home game, which was nice. So yeah, it was really nice to be back, see everyone, and see you and see Cam as well. So yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, it was good to see you. It was a shame we didn't get to see Ben with Isla, but from what I've seen from the photos that Ben posted, it looked like they had a cracking time at the weekend, and it was nice, I'm sure, for Isla to see Watford get a victory. But yeah, let's jump straight in with some news that's broken this evening. In fact, probably about 10 minutes ago, it came on to social media that apparently Georgi Chadvikatsi has agreed personal terms with Valencia and is near completing a move to the Spanish side. Was the fee mentioned £10 million?
Yeah.
10 million. I'll ask you your thoughts on it in a minute, but me personally, I think that's way, way, way too low. Like, he is so much better than the fee that Gino's selling out there. That's appalling. I would have said at least 20 to 25 million. When you look at what some of the other players are that have moved, yeah, I'm really surprised at that. What's your thoughts on the whole transfer?
I mean, I'm not shocked because I really thought that he would go this summer, but then obviously the club, not the club, was it Adam? He put out a interview with him saying he was really happy here and he wasn't looking to leave. And obviously the club have described that he's had this injury. I'm not saying that they've lied. However, he has obviously carried this injury for quite a while now. Obviously, we know the club have never really been that truthful about transfers and been honest. A lot of the time, they have said, "Yeah, there's an injury," and then they just don't really play, and then they leave. But I am not shocked to see this coming because I think we've done well to keep anyone this summer, Louza, Bar, Georgie, and I'm going to be so honest with you, I would rather lose Georgie out of them three than any of the others, but I do think that the 10 million fee is quite low. For me, I would be probably, like you said, pushing in the 20 million because I think you have to think about how much value he is to your team, and I think that he has a very high value in this team. We can't sell him and not replace that. If we sell him, we need to get a replacement in. We can't just get rid of him and then just leave that void because I think we will miss that player profile. So I'm not shocked, but obviously it's a shame if it does go through. And it's a shame that the club haven't really been honest and have basically insinuated that he is here and he is staying. There's no reason why he would leave. So yeah, I think that is a shame, because then we could do a bit of a panic sign, considering we are kind of nearer the end of the transfer window. And if we're only getting 10 million, I doubt you're really going to find a hidden gem at this point in the window. And 10 million isn't enough to get you anyone who's going to be at that level.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a bit bemused, because I think for me as well, when we were obviously in talks with Diallo, who's obviously now at Norwich, when things like called on him, it was kind of like, well, we've got Georgie, we've got Kunda, we've got Vata Bar, we signed this guy from Metz as well, Mama, and they said, oh yeah, we've got more than enough there now. If the intention was that Chadvikatsi was going to leave, I don't understand why the club didn't continue with the pursuit of Diallo, because it just makes no sense now. Because he played there against us for Norwich last week in that left-sided role going forward. He was unbelievable. I mean, obviously, as we spoke about in the pod last week, it wasn't Ryan Andrews' finest game or half of football, and he struggled against him. However, yeah, I'm just really confused by it all, because it just doesn't really make any sense to me. And like you say, the worry is that we will potentially go and panic buy, and that's obviously the last thing Watford fans want to see, is just some guy comes in, doesn't really then play. But would you think that if Georgie left, based on what you've seen so far, bearing in mind we've obviously still got Vata to come back from injury and Mama still to come into the side, that we might actually have enough in those positions potentially? Because obviously he did actually play slightly different formation, and he played Kunda behind Kjerrumgaard at the weekend, so he didn't actually play with the two wide players either side of Kjerrumgaard, so it's a bit different.
And for me, that formation was the best we've played out of the last two games, and I definitely could see it being something that he plays forward. But for someone like Georgie, you're gonna want to make space for him in your team. He's not someone who you would be like, sorry, like, you can't play. But I do wonder if this has been kind of a long time coming, so they've been working on a formation that doesn't need to keep him in because he was going to go or something. I think the issue with our squad is there's enough depth. I mean, we've signed 10 players this summer. Like, we have signed a lot of people. However, I still feel like we lack depth in every position. I think if you lose Georgie, then you lose the option of him. But we've seen, and we saw against Norwich in the cup, that our first team is solid, but if you have an injury here or there isn't anyone to come on who is at the same level or even better, or even a little bit worse. They're all a league below where our first team is. So I think even losing Georgie in that sense is losing an option, and losing a good option, which will be a shame.
Yeah, no, I agree. And obviously, you talk about depth. There's obviously been a lot said over the last few days about a guy called Sandy Lovrich from, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I could be butchering it. Who's at Udinese, and he's also been linked with a move to Watford. However, he's been appointed the vice captain of Udinese this season. So obviously there's question marks over that. That seemed to be, from what we read the other day, pretty close in terms of a deal. But if he's been appointed vice captain, I can't, like you said in our chat, I can't see that happening now. Can you?
It is really weird. I mean, I know there's been stuff online saying, well, he's an Indonesia player until he isn't. If we appointed someone vice captain and then sold him that next week, I would be like, that's weird. Like, that never happens. I mean, who knows? We'll see it when we believe it. But I definitely think it's weird to appoint someone vice captain and then sell them the next week. Like, that isn't normal.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense in my opinion. I completely agree. And the reports today as well, in the last sort of hour and a half, is that social media is suggesting that Denis Popov is set to sign for Watford from Dynamo Kiev. Um, I'm presuming it doesn't say whether it's a loan or a permanent signing, but that is the centre back I believe that we have been after. Apparently, we wanted one more centre back as cover. I can only think that it's cover because of the formation that Pezzolano wants to play, because I think if you were to go with two at the back, we've definitely got far too many. When you think we've got Caben, Abanqua, Pollock,
Mm-hmm.
we'll have Popov, we've got Maxaline as well. Trying to think who else we've got there. Obviously, Morris can also play left centre back as well. Kipriano's been playing there last two games.
Mm-hmm.
Just seems like there's an awful lot of defenders within the club. I mean, that's good. I mean, we've got. I actually think that's probably potentially our strongest position on
And
paper.
how many seasons have we been saying, oh, our defense is really poor? Like, we've not had the right amount of defenders. So it's good. But I also think as well, I think that is our strongest position. But there are a few players that are in that group that I wouldn't have starting near, people like Morris, even Eileen. Like, I'm not. I mean, it's hard to make a judgment because we've not seen much, but there's a very naivety about the squad and young and defenders. You want someone like, someone who knows, someone who's a bit more experienced. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think this one though for me as well. This Popov, I'm reserving judgment at the moment because I'm pretty sure I've seen this guy linked with us before, and it
Hmm.
never came off. And I don't know whether this is just someone potentially chucking a rumour around on social media and it's gathered a bit of pace. As I
Yeah.
said in our chat, I'll wait until he's holding up a shirt. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, from what I've seen and from what I've heard of both of the players that we've just mentioned, they're going to be potentially good signings. However, um, like we've said, I think it's both more us two, isn't it? That's been saying it in the chat. We would want some championship experience, and that still
Hmm.
concerns me slightly. I'm still a little bit concerned by that. Like I'm not. This squad could be fantastic, and this squad could go on to do great things. However, they just need a couple more experienced players within that side. I think. I think there's, like you said, a lot of youngsters. There's a lot of inexperience, but who knows? They could surprise us. It could be like the AD Boothroyd season, which you obviously won't remember being so young. And we could go up and surprise everybody. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I
we'll
definitely
see.
think I definitely think that the squad, having a young squad is something that we've had a really old squad, we've had a really young squad before. And I'm glad that we're making the signings. My only concern is that we're making the signings for players that aren't ready now. And if this is Gino's last go at like going for it, we've never seen him move this quickly in a transfer window ever. Um, which is why I feel like this is him going for it. Getting in young players is not something that I would be prioritizing, or young players who are ready now. And obviously, it's 3 games in. I'm not jumping the board. I'm not saying anyone is not good enough for this level yet, because I think people like Kipriano is transformed over 3 games. He has almost matured overnight. He has been one of the most solid people on those pitches in all of the games. Someone like Irakunda, everyone was kind of dragging him a couple, like in the first game, second game, saying, "What the hell?" Now, on Saturday, I thought he had an incredible game. Um, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a younger squad, and we still have those experienced people mixed in, like Sissoko, even Louza. Like, there is that experience in the squad. I think we lack that kind of proper. championship experience.
Yeah.
But I think they will adapt and grow. I think it's more just like, are those people ready now, or are they ready next year or the year after?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see, and I'm looking forward to the season still and seeing what they can bring to, like you say, Aaron Kunda. I think he was really exciting at the weekend. We'll talk more about him in a minute. But yeah, in terms of transfer news, thought we'd start a little bit different due to the news of Georgie potentially leaving. But yeah, so Saturday then, Katie, we'll talk a little bit just about the lineup and the shape of the team. Obviously, a completely kind of different setup to what we saw at Charlton the week before. Went with three at the back and moved Kipriano back into into a back three. Played Bola and Ngakia as wing backs with the midfield of Kayembe, Louza, and Sissoko, and then played Aaron Kunda behind Kjerrumgaard. What did you think of the lineup and the setup first of all, and did you think that it was more effective than what we saw against Charlton?
I was unimpressed when I first saw the lineup. I just thought, I saw Bar on the bench, Sissoko and Kayembe in midfield. It never fills me with much confidence. The formation switch, I was a bit about. And I tweeted, I was like, I'm happy to be proved wrong. This isn't what I would have gone for. I understand match fitness, blah, 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 but I'm concerned. And I was pleasantly surprised with the first half and how we played. Someone like Sissoko, who I was like thinking, God, like, and he was played in a different position as well. I was like, is this going to work? Had one of, I think, one of his best games and has been really consistent. Even Kayembe definitely played well. So yeah, I think he took a risk and I think it paid off. So credit to the manager for that, because the last two games had not filled me with much confidence with him. But I think the management for that game ended up completely working in our favour.
Yeah. Good evening, Jess. Thank you for your comments as always, and good evening, Melanie and Ian as well, if you're both still listening. Kayembe and Sissoko. You know what? Sissoko's a funny one for me because while I think at times he's okay, there are other times, like I was really disappointed at the end when it was him that was on the end of that chance where the keeper was out of his goal, because if it had been anybody else, we'd have kind of broke. And he just was a little bit like, as it was put to me, Bambi on ice. And he got the ball under his feet, got a bit stuck, and just weren't really kind of moving forward with it to have the shot. But yeah, you know what? I can never fault his effort. He always gives everything on the pitch, I love that about him. He's very passionate. He'll always, he's always 100% leave everything on the pitch. Kayembe, he for me at the weekend really frustrated me. I'll be honest. I thought why is it even in the most ridiculous positions does he try and shoot? Like when there's no need to, when he could just pass like there was an incident in the first half where he's over on the left hand side, going down towards the Vicarage Road end, and he's got a player that's literally about to come into him and close him down, and rather than pass the ball to Bola to put a cross in, he tries to shoot. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, you're not going to shoot. You're not going to score from there. Like, what are you trying?
He just wants his glory moment.
He does. Well, this is it, because I think he had in totally the 5 or 6 shots, and apart from the first one, which was really unlucky, I might add, and I have just got to point out that first one was very unlucky. It was a fantastic ball across the box from Sissoko across to him, and to keep it down low, hard. The keeper made a fantastic save, and it was very unlucky. But other than that, his attempts on goal were poor. And again, I didn't see we know the comments, and I questioned the comments that he made last week for taking Louza off and bringing Kane on, saying that he was more, he wanted more physicality. I'm still yet to see that physicality for me. Obviously, we'll talk about the incident at the end, but now Louza's going to be out for a while. We're obviously going to need somebody else to come into that midfield and fill that void, which is going to be a very big miss. Which is going to be really disappointing, isn't it? But yeah, in terms of the wing backs, then obviously, as we said, it was Mark Bowler and Jeremy Ngakia. First of all, I gave Ngakia a bit of stick on on Wednesday when we did the podcast talking about the first two games. I wasn't really sold on him. However, I thought the weekend he had a much better game in the formation that was played. What did you think of Ngakia's performance overall?
I am Ngakia's biggest hater. Like, I am his number one hater, and I give him stick all the time. But he deserves a lot of credit from the weekend because I thought he was everywhere. He was running, he defended well, he also was attacking well. I thought he had an excellent game. And the thing is more now he's able to stay fit, I think he is doing better. Like last season, towards the end of last season, I was swinging him much more praise because I think this is the first time we've seen him be injury free for probably like 4 years. And I think if he can stay fit and keep it playing at this level and intensity, there's a great player in there. And I really think we're starting to see some glimpses of that because how he played on Saturday, it was like a new Ngakia. And I think if he can continue playing like that, and this system seems to suit him a lot better, he did really well. When you're watching and you got standout players, he was really standing out for me, and the intensity that he kept throughout the game, I thought was excellent. So I think if he can just stay fit, keep at that, then we'll see him have a great season. I really do think that.
Yeah, I agree. I think if he stays fit, I believe he will have a very good season, and it'll be hard for Andrews to get into the side and start games. I think it'll be more a case of he'll be resting Ngakia because of the amount of games, as opposed to Andrews is coming in because Ngakia has been playing badly. I do, however, based on what I've seen so far this season, we'll have Wiley and Bowler as the left backs. And obviously, if there is an injury there, then if we're really desperate, then James Morris could potentially play there. I do believe that we need someone else in that right back position. I don't think that right back position is completely done and dusted for me in terms of signings. I think there potentially will be one more that comes in, but we'll see there. One player, did you see who got the man of the match on the club?
Yeah, I
Page
think
then?
Luca did.
Oh, did he? Okay. One player I wanted to obviously mention in particular because the stats were unbelievable when I looked at them yesterday for Kevin Caben.
Yeah.
He had an unbelievable game, and we talked about him last week on the midweek pod, and for me, I think he's the best defender we've got at the club at the moment. And I think when he's fit and he's playing every week like he is at the moment, I think he's
Yeah.
a guaranteed starter.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been impressed by his start to the season, and obviously following on from the end of last season as well? I mean, he's just brilliant, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, we saw glimpses of that last season as well, and it was such a shame about his injuries and stuff. And we knew we had a serious player on our hands, even with the handful of games that he was playing last season. He's really slotted into the defense well. I think he doesn't look shaky, he doesn't look nervous. The partnership works well. I think what they were playing in on the weekend. I struggle to see where Pollock comes back in here. Not because I think there's anything wrong with Pollock, but there's also nothing wrong with how they're playing now. and I think Kevin has been really, really good so far. There's no reason that I would bring Matty Pollock back in because I wouldn't want to change it just because of like there's nothing wrong. So I would definitely be keeping Kevin in currently.
Yeah, it's interesting because I do worry for Matty Pollock because I had this conversation yesterday with one of my friends, and I said that I believe that he will struggle to get into the side now. But obviously, if this guy's coming in, this Denis Popov from Kiev, I imagine that he's being brought in and probably will start ahead of Pollock even when he's like back and fit. And then if you think that Louza's out for a few games, I don't know what he'll do Pezzolano potentially, whether he'll move Cipriano up and he'll play Cipriano in that midfield position while Louza's out. But even then, you think that we're still missing Duomo in that midfield as well, who could easily, I don't know, I think he's probably around 2 weeks maybe away from being fit and coming back. I don't know. I'm sure they said before Charlton he was 3 to 4 weeks away, I think it was. I could be completely wrong, but hopefully we get to see Duomo a bit more in a Watford shirt because I believe he's still good enough to play in that midfield that we've got there. And I would actually play him ahead of Kayembe. I know Jess is a massive Kayembe fan. I'm going to be upset by that, but Duomo I think is a lot better and much more to what we need in the side. Going into the midfield that obviously played at the weekend, as we said, like we've talked about Kayembe, we talked about Sissoko. We'll talk about a little bit about Louza and how he played. I thought he was excellent. I love the cross for Kjerrumgaard for the Kjerrumgaard for the second goal. It was poor defending from QPR. I thought they were very, very sloppy in that first half. They gave us a lot of space.
QPR were dreadful. Like they
were
were so bad, and I'm not discrediting how we played because we did do well, but both of the goals, the lack of defending, it's like a free header, the second one, and I'm not taking that away from Luca at all because it's still a good finish and a great cross, but the defending for those goals were horrendous.
Yeah, I agree, and I mean, obviously the first goal was equally, fantastic. I think the breakaway, Iran Kunda finding the space, and I joked to my friend, my friend who I sit with, he said to me, he couldn't really miss. But I said, Rajovic potentially would have, found a post to hit, or Bayer would have found a keeper to hit and then let it bounce back and hit him and then bounce in the net. It wouldn't have made it look so good. Like, it was a good breakaway goal. It was a great finish.
I thought it went wide at first.
He just, I think the point I'm trying to make is that he showed the composure in front of goal that the fans want to see. They want to see chances like that being put away. And, from what I saw on social media before he put on a Watford shirt, they're the sort of goals that he likes to score. People were saying, where was he at Charlton? He's not the fox in the box that we were kind of expecting, but
the QPR game definitely showed his attributes, and because we've always lacked that person just being in the right place at the right time. Like, that's what Deeney was for us, and since Deeney we've never had that striker. And I think he's big, he's tall, he bullies the defenders, he's in people's faces, and to be, it don't matter how poor the defending is, to be in the right place at the right time, to get on those crosses. We've seen Rajovic miss those. We've seen Bio miss those. Like, it isn't as easy as just, it's a free header, tap it in. Like, the pressure, the composure, that was shown, and that's what we need from our number 9.
Yeah, I agree. And, I said at the beginning of the season when we did our predictions, I think he'll score 18 goals this season. I stick by that. I think he's started scoring now. It's not just his overall positioning in front of goal and what he does, his composure. I think it's his work rate on the rest of everywhere else on the pitch. like Rajovic and Bio just used to stand up front and didn't do anything. But
yeah, you never saw them. They would be invisible every game. But I noticed him a lot, not just when he was in the box. You notice him defending. You notice him in, bringing the ball forward. He's
trying
making
to
the
win the
runs.
ball. Yeah, he's trying to like do things from the back and try and
Yeah,
start
yeah,
things.
100%.
And that's what I really like about him. And he's really like trying to. He's putting in effort, and I think that's all That's all fans want is someone
Yeah,
putting in effort. I don't. If we get beat in a game and we come out, but the players have given it their all, that doesn't bother me because I know we've tried, and that's what he's certainly doing at the moment. And it's the same with Aaron Kunda as well at the moment. You know, he's young, he's getting used to English football. And I thought on Saturday, I thought Tuesday he started the game really well. You know, he tried to do things against Norwich. Unfortunately, I think with the players that he had around him, wasn't really working for him. And you could see he was getting frustrated. But Saturday, I thought he was excellent. Really, really good. Impressive, isn't he?
Yeah.
What did you make of the red card? Obviously, you know, I've actually not seen a replay of it again, but a few people that I've spoken to, they've come out and said to me, "Yeah, it's a red card. Obviously, it's a dangerous challenge." Did he
I
slip?
think, well, I don't think he slips. I think he tackles but follows through. I saw people say it was a slip. It looks a bit more purposeful than that. I think it was silly to do right in front of the ref at the end of the game when the ball was literally at the halfway line. You know, I think it's great that you're going for that, but you're doing that right in front of the referee. I think if that was if a QPR player did that to our player, we would have wanted a red card for that. I think it's very silly for him to have done that, and now he's out for 3 games, which I think will now take us up to the international break, probably even after that. So
Cam said it was a month and a half, didn't he? We're not going to see him in a Watford shirt for, what did he say, 1 month and 4 days?
well, we've got 2 more games left until the international break now. Then there's an international break, so we won't see him until the 22nd of September against Millwall.
Cool, that's...
So that is
Oh, yeah.
about more than a month.
Yeah, that's grim, isn't it?
So it's definitely, and Louza is one of our players that we seriously rely on heavily in that midfield, especially with someone like Sissoko and Kayembe, because I think without Louza, that midfield flattens completely. There's no energy in it. Louza is, and as much as he's not actually the club captain officially, there's a lot of, I think he does have a lot of influence. He's very vocal. You see him when the players score. He's always celebrating. I think he is quite impactful in the team. And I also don't look to the bench and think, oh, who's going to fill that spot in a good way. So I think it's really disappointing. I've had a Swansea friend of mine messaging me saying, I think with Louza out, we've got a chance. And I think, yeah, I think you do, because he's a real asset to our team.
Yeah, I agree. I think we are going to miss him. I'm going to be interested, like I say, to see what he does. What I'm hoping, have we got the players to do it now and bring Kipriano in and bring someone else in centre back? Yeah, he could. Well, yeah, he could bring. He could bring Max Alin into the central defender defending position potentially, and push Kipriano up. I feel that maybe he might not think he's ready for that at the moment. Maybe he probably give him a few more weeks before he does something like that. So yeah, it could be. It's going to be interesting. I don't know. He could bring, I don't know, maybe Vata into that midfield potentially, and
I think we could see Vata. We could definitely see Vata on, because he was warming up on Saturday.
He
And
was,
I was shocked that he actually didn't come on. But I think it was more of like a holdout for the draw.
I think,
hold out for the win. Sorry.
Yeah, I
So
think
I think we could see him though, definitely. It will be interesting to see what he does because that's a gap. Again, it's kind of like talking about Georgie. If you don't have him, that's a void you have to fill. Louza's the same. Anyone else, you kind of think, okay, you can replace that. Like, it's fine. Louza 100% will be the big difference because if you just kind of leave it with just Sissoko and Kayembe, there's no hope at all.
Yeah. And Mike's just evening. Mike just said, I think Louza missing will be a difference between 0 and 3 points. Sissoko or Kembe not good enough to fill that role. Neither is Ince or Tom Delibashiru. Yeah, Tom Delibashiru is a strange one because he started that Norwich game. He was so poor. Didn't really see him much on Saturday. He came on for the last 4 or 5 minutes and then played, obviously, injury time as well. Didn't really see enough in to sort of put a comment in on how good he was, but it's a bit of a strange one, that, because, like I say, I mean, he could arguably come in, but he obviously needs to do a lot better than what we've seen of him, especially towards the end of last season and what we've seen of him this season. Obviously, Barr came on. He didn't start the game at the weekend. Were you happy with his performance and his contribution at the weekend? I thought he did really well when he came on.
Yeah, I thought he did well, and he was really unlucky to not get 2 goals even. I think he came on, added that, I saw a tweet and it was like, oh, defenders when Irakunda goes off but is replaced by Barn, it's like some funny guy like sweating, and I'm just like, and I like that we have that because I think in so many positions we have whoever's on the bench, if it's not someone coming back from an injury, is normally a much lower standard than whoever's come off. So, if you're replacing, like, I don't know, Sissoko with Ince, okay, maybe you're not that downgraded, but having Bar come on for Irakunda and vice versa, that is adding the same intensity and the same kind of style of play, and I see a lot of similarities between the two of them. For me, I think Bar will probably start on Saturday. But it's nice to have an option of players who are equal kind of standard and equal like style of play. But Bar, he's been excellent for us, and I think this will be his breakthrough season if he can stay fit too.
Yeah, I agree. I hope so. I love him as a player. I love his passion and the way he drives at defenders. He's just a cracking player. Mike just also said, not sure what's going on. We did speak about Lovric earlier. He is starting for Udinese tonight. So, yeah, I mean, even stranger, that one, if he's announced as vice captain 48 hours ago, plays for Udinese tonight, and then tomorrow you see him holding up a Watford shirt. I mean, it'd be the craziest 72 hours of that man's career, I think, wouldn't it? So, yeah, based on what we've seen in the last 48 hours of him, I think we can safely say he's probably on the fence of not coming to over the side of that fence where he's not coming to Watford, as opposed to that he is now. So it'll be interesting to see whether there's another midfielder, because that's the second player midfielder now, isn't it, Katie? We've seen that we've been linked with at Udinese. There was I can't remember the other guy's name, but he was Spanish, wasn't he? And they were saying that he was close to joining, and then the word on the street was it was this guy. So I just, I just don't think anybody has a clue about transfers, and everyone likes to think that they know about what's going on, don't they? They chuck a few names in the hat, start a few rumours, a few bets get put on, everyone kind of gets excited, and then it turns out not to be happening. So I'm just going to reserve my judgment until the players are holding up the shirts. They're happy to be here, and they're giving their welcoming speech to how happy they are to be putting on our shirt. So
yeah,
there's probably going to be a lot going on over the next. What are we now? We're on the 16th. 18th. So there's 2 weeks left of the window now, I believe. I'm sure it's Monday the
1st of September.
Monday the 1st. It is closing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm sure there'll be a few outgoings. Is there still anybody you think potentially will be leaving from the squad?
I mean, someone like Deli Bashiru, I really thought would be going. More because he doesn't really play. There was obviously those links to him to go. Where was he supposed to go?
There was, I think, Parma, Metz in France.
Yeah.
If there was, I think someone said there was 8 clubs interested in him.
Yeah. So I've not heard much about that. Not sure why it's done that.
Giving it the old thumbs up for Deli Bashiru leaving.
I think someone like Tom Ince, just get rid of the contract, just terminate. Like, no one's gonna want him. Like, he's old, just get rid. I can see some people going on loan, maybe someone like Morris, maybe even Deli Bashiru goes on loan. But it's all gone a bit quiet with the outgoings. I guess they're probably trying to see how the first couple games go, what the formation is that they want to continue. You can tell that Pezzolano is kind of learning as he goes, which, I was a bit like, come on, you've had all preseason. Like, why are we now in a position where we kind of don't know what's going to work for us? And I know, every game is different and you have to have a new game plan for everyone. But I think Saturday was a time where something really clicked in the squad. And I think for me, all I wanted was to see some kind of passion and grit and determination from the players, which we've seriously lacked in the other games. Because, I mean, I don't know what you thought, but when I was watching on telly, I was like, what the hell is this? Like, this is dreadful. Like, there's no passion, there's no drive, like, and I know it's a cup game and obviously Charlton was tough, but Saturday I finally saw some like passion from the players, which I thought was nicer. So I think it will probably take, this week and next week to figure out. And if we do get these incomings, I mean, who knows about this midfielder who's playing tonight and the vice captain thing? That is really weird. And if he comes, I will be shocked because that is weird. But if those incomings come in and then, you probably turn around to people who are the lowest pecking order and say, do you want to leave? Do you want to go on loan? No one's the people who are in the bottom who are probably most likely to go. I really doubt anyone's going to come in for them and offer like money. So I guess we'll just have to see. I can definitely see there being some more outgoings though, because someone like Deli Bashiru, he's what, 26, 27? He's quite young.
Yeah, he's not old by any means.
Yeah, so I think he'll want to go on and keep playing. Someone like Tom Ince, I swear he's like 34 or something. Like, hang up the boots, mate. Like, it's time. So yeah, I guess we'll see, but I can definitely see there being some more outgoings.
Yeah, and obviously, like we said earlier, if Georgie leaves, then potentially we could be in for another winger over on that left side. But yeah, like I say, we've got 2 weeks left. Please do, if you've got any players that you think we should sign or maybe want us to sign, do leave some comments, and we will always come to them on the following podcast. Katie, just before we go and we wrap up for the evening, obviously we're going to Swansea at the weekend. We got a good win on Saturday. Can you see us following on with the winning run, or do you think we will struggle and it will end in a draw or defeat?
I feel like Swansea for us, it's always such a bogey team. Like, we never seem to. It's always can go either way with them. I'm hoping that the win will give them the confidence to kind of do that, but without Louza, without that midfield, I think we would struggle. I'm definitely going to say, like, I'd be really happy with a draw, like a 1-1 or even a 0-0. I'll be really happy with a draw. But I won't be shocked if we do lose, because I think Louza will be a huge miss. And I don't think anyone's going to be able to sort of step up and fill those boots, especially because we still don't have like Duomo. But I'm happy to be surprised, and I think if he gets the team right, takes a risk, do that formation that worked against QPR, I think we have a chance, but I'm not hopeful.
Yeah. I'm probably going to say I'd be really happy with a draw. You never know what we're going to get at Swansea. One year we win 1-0 there, one year we lose 1-0. Win, lose. You just never know. So I actually can't remember the last time I don't think we've ever drawn down there. If I remember rightly, I think we've only ever either won or lost. So it'd be different if we do draw. Do just want to actually quickly mention as well the QPR goal. It was a special hit, wasn't it? I mean, it was. I completely forgot about the goal, if I'm being honest. It was. We were all kind of like stunned into silence because we were in complete control, and then QPR kind of found themselves with a way back in. But as we all said, literally in unison in our chat, there's nothing that Selvik could have done about that. It wasn't anyone's fault. It was just a super hit, wasn't it? And we kind of just had to applaud it.
It was, but it came from lack of focus from, you shouldn't really be letting someone get into that space. And obviously no one's saying you should have stopped, saved the goal, but especially towards the end of that last half, we did kind of get a bit complacent, I think, and allowed that to happen. But that's just Watford. We never make it easy for ourselves.
I know. And my cousin that was in the QPR end, I messaged him straight away at the start of the second half, and I said that we will make this difficult for ourselves, and it will be a typical Watford performance where we kind of just allow QPR to come at us and give them a bit of an opportunity, and we did. But as it was, we got 3 points. We all left the Vic happy, which was nice. It was nice to see some smiles on people's faces. But yeah, thank you everybody this evening for tuning in. Thank you for your comments in the chat as always. If you are listening back and want to leave a like, please do. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe as well. Every time we go live, you will get notifications of that. We'll be back, I imagine, hopefully on Sunday after the Swansea game at the weekend with a review of that. But yeah, as ever, thank you ever so much for tuning in, guys, and come on, you Orns.